To download and install the latest version of Bootstrap 5, we'll go to the official website getbootstrap.com. Here we will click on the download button and then click on this download button to download the compiled CSS and JS files into our folder. Now let's take a closer look at what this folder actually contains. First, we have the CSS files. We have a normal version with the extension CSS. Then we have a right-to-left version with the extension rtl.css. Then we have a normal and minified version with the extension min.css. And then we have a right-to-left and minified version with the extension rtl.min.css. For all these files, we'll also find a source map file. We have the Reboot CSS file, which we can see the list of here. It contains only the Reboot styles. Then we have the Grid CSS file. Here we see the list of these files. This contains the grid system and flex utilities. Then we have the Utilities CSS file, which we can see here. And it contains all the utilities. And finally, we have the file that contains everything. This is what we will be using throughout this course. Then we have the JavaScript files. We have an unminified version and a minified version with extension min.js. We also have source map files for these. We have a Bootstrap only JS version that looks like this. It contains only Bootstrap code, so dropdowns, popovers and tooltips are not supported. But we also have the Bootstrap bundle version that looks like this, bootstrap.bundle.js. It contains Bootstrap plus popper.js, which is a third-party library used by Bootstrap and is required for dropdowns, popovers and tooltips. You can also use an ESM version of the Bootstrap JavaScript that looks like this, bootstrap.esm.js, if you're using Bootstrap as a module. We're not going to use that in this course. Here's a list of all the JavaScript components. So all the components that require that you use the JavaScript from Bootstrap. The ones marked with a star requires popper, so they need to use the bundle version of the JavaScript files. So we have alerts for dismissing them, buttons for toggling states, carousel, collapse, dropdowns, and this has the star, so that requires popper, modal, navbar for collapsing it, popovers, which requires popper, scrolls by, toasts, and tooltips, which also requires popper. Files used in this course are bootstrap.min.css and bootstrap.bundle.min.js. So I'll just recommend that you stick to them. Now we'll go into our folder here and unzip our downloaded file. In here, first we open up our CSS folder and we'll locate the bootstrap.min.css file right there. We'll drag this over to our CSS folder, which is currently empty. Then we'll close up the CSS folder and go into the JS folder, and we'll take the bootstrap.bundle.min.js right here and move it down to our JS folder, which is also empty. Then close up the JS folder and that folder here, and now we can get rid of these files that we downloaded. Now let's open up this folder in our code editor right here. We have this index file with all the minimum required HTML already in place, so now we'll simply install the Bootstrap styling and scripting with JavaScript. So first we'll add a link tag here with the rel attribute with the value style sheet and the href attribute with the value css/bootstrap.min.css. And to install the JavaScript as well. We do that just before the closing body tag. So we add this script tag with the source attribute with the value js/bootstrap.bundle.min.js and close the script tag again. Now to actually see that we have installed Bootstrap, we'll create a dismissible alert. You can learn much more about how to do that in the lecture about alert in the component section. So here we'll simply add the div tag with the classes alert, alert success to give it the success color, alert dismissible to make it a dismissible alert, and fade and show to give it the correct animation. We also add the role attribute with the value alert for accessibility. Inside of this, we'll now create our close button, which you can also learn more about in the lecture about close button in the section components. We give the type attribute with the value button and the class btn close, like so. And then to hook it up with the JavaScript, we have the data bs dismiss attribute with the value alert and the area label attribute with the value close. I'll just wrap my lines here in the code editor, and then we close the button tag. No content should go inside here. Then we create some content for our alert. We add a strong tag with the text success, and after this we add the text Bootstrap 5 has now been installed, and both the CSS and JavaScript is working. Now let's save this, go into our folder here, select the index file and open it up in our browser like so. Here we now see our success alert with the close button in the right side. When we click it, it will disappear from the screen. So we have now verified that we have installed the latest version of Bootstrap 5.